And we're live here on LinkedIn, YouTube Live, and Instagram Live, recording live for Courageous and Free with Jacquelyn Mack, the podcast. And we are continuing the energetics of gratitude. Gratitude. It's not just for the month of November, in case you needed that reminder, right? And honestly, this state of generosity and appreciation into the holiday season, it just is a natural flow to carry that into the new year and beyond and anchor the values of showing up, not just something to think about again, like once a year, right? If you can add this into who you are and how you be and what you do in the world, that is an amazing trait and value to have. So I want to share with you a little bit further on the whole part of appreciation. So what you appreciate appreciates. And I was speaking with a coaching client just this week, actually 2 days ago, about her income and what she was doing in her business. And she was feeling this dip. And it wasn't just a slow dip, it was like a dip and then another dip and another dip. And there was a consistent dip versus a consistent increase. And so I said, well, are you focusing on the lack? Are you appreciating the fact that A, you're still bringing in money and that you had your best month just 2 months ago? And that was something to really ponder on and for her to do some work on. And this is why I always preach the quality of your questions is a direct reflection of the quality of your life, right? So, what we want to receive in life then becomes what we actually start to give. And you're like, what? Yeah, what you actually want to receive, start giving. Try it. Start with just a little bit. Because, like, when I brought this concept up to my client, she was like, well, I want to receive tens of thousands of dollars a month. Okay, great. Well, you're not going to you don't need to give tens of thousands of dollars a month tomorrow. But if you had the opportunity to, what would that look like? What would that feel like? And where can you just give a little? Like $1, $5, $100, $1,500. And then what this sparked was her tithing at church until she said, tithing at church feels good, but it used to feel really great. And I said, well, why? And she was focusing on the lack again of her not having as much as she wanted to tithe and just it being mundane. And I'm like, well, it sounds like you've lost your why. Like, why do you tithe in the first place? And she likes to give back. And I'm like, well, where are other areas of your life that you could actually give back? Like to other charities, not just a church. And how would that look? How would that feel? So what you appreciates really ties into also what you want to receive, start to give. And it's not just with money, but it's yes with money, but it's also with like love and connection and time and happiness. And I mean, think about it. Sharing happiness, how could you not feel happy when you're causing others or being a part of how others experience happiness? Hugs, referrals with a business. This past year, I gave generously a bunch of referrals and connected people with other people because I desired that. And like, wow, if I want to receive more referrals, why wouldn't I refer to other people? And the same works with also your patients, right? If you want others to be more patient with you, why don't you allow yourself to be more patient with others? Surprises. I love surprises. So it's like if I want to receive more surprises in all the ways of love, of connection, of fun, of money, of all the things, like why wouldn't I also give in that way? And so when you're doing this, it's like, are you taking time intentionally to actually appreciate where you are, what you have, how far you've come? Or are you quickly already, which I used to do in the past, already thinking about the next thing or pushing harder towards that next thing because you want more of whatever that next thing is? So this also I tie into, so there's three main areas of this, and then we're going to get into the science of how the most generous people have more to give. And so at the end of the day, this concept of actually making your spending habits with intention, your spending decisions based on how much you really truly wish to give first. So many of my clients, when I ask this question, do you set aside money to give first? Or are you out being intentional with just spending, or investing? Like none of this is right or wrong, good or bad. But at the end of the day, what if you made your spending decisions with intention solely based on how much you wish to give first in all the ways, right? And so if you did that, what would that look like? What would that feel like? How would that play out? How much would that be possible right now? And how much do you wish that to be in the very near future? And then you start making decisions as if it's already happening. But don't take this the wrong way, because again, one of my clients was saying, well, I went on a spending spree and now I'm ashamed of it because my future self will have that much money to just go spend. And I'm like, well, you can energetically spend the money. You can energetically shop and be like, wow, I just bought that. I just bought that. I just bought that, and really feel it and not actually feel the burden of now I have to pay that back. Or you can just go buy it knowing you'll be able to pay it back. Because I asked her, I was like, how many times have you not been able to pay off your credit card? And she said, only a few times on time, meaning paying the whole thing off. But she's like, I've never been able to not pay the minimum. I'm like, okay, so what are you making that mean? And why are you still behaving in that manner if that is not the manner of your highest self, of your vision, right? So this is going to be this type of episode today where we keep this in mind as we talk about the science of generosity. Keep in mind that what you appreciate appreciates. Keep in mind that you get to, not have to, but you get to give what you wish to receive. And then try on, you don't have to do this either, but try on the fact that you get to actually make your spending habits based off first how much you want to generously give. Just try that on. So when you allow your daily practice to include gratitude, to include generosity, which I love these words, they're so juicy and they just light me up. They make me just feel good, even just saying those words, right? Gratitude and generosity and abundance. And this becomes a part of your daily practice. This becomes of how you show up. This becomes of the frequency, the high value frequency, not just today, but yes, into the holiday season, and yes, into the new year. And yes, just as a part of naturally who you are and who you be and your reputation. How cool is that? So let's jump into this whole science behind generosity and why the most generous people have more to give, and the surprising science that leads to greater wealth in all the ways, greater health and happiness, which ultimately leads to greater fulfillment, which in my book is success, is the definition of success. When you are fulfilled, you are successful, and not by the old paradigms of what our world defines as success. So the science behind why generosity leads to greater wealth and happiness and health lies in the fact that when we are giving, it activates the brain's reward system, releasing a feel-good chemical or multiple feel-good chemicals. And this would be like dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, which foster that positive emotion, that sense of feels so good, sense of purpose, social connection, ultimately also improving both your mental and physical well-being, because the chemicals mentally, emotionally manifest in the physical of our body, of this vessel that we have. And it can also lead to more positive mindset, growth mindset, stronger social networks, which indirectly contribute to what? Greater wealth and more opportunities, possibilities, potential. So now you can see why I love this, because my whole Rise Up program is about radical, intentional self-expansion, rise, to unleash your unlimited potential up and up only. This or something better. So let's talk about what's really going on here. Your brain is activated. So when you perform a generous act, the brain reward system, that pathway, that firing and wiring together, particularly the ventral striatum, and I always pronounce that a little different. So if you're like, oh, that's not correct. Striatum, ventral striatum is activated, which is the same area stimulated by pleasurable activities. This is like eating. This is like sex. So like, if this becomes a part of your routine, let's just say it starts monthly. You're just generously, intentionally giving monthly. Let's just say when we talk about gratitude, what you appreciate appreciates, right? So like when I stick my credit card into the machine at the grocery store and I just bought $200 in groceries, I am very grateful. There is energy, gratitude, high frequency energy literally radiating from me because I'm intentional. I'm even saying it out loud. The cashier comes sometimes thinks I'm crazy, but now they're sitting and getting to know me, right? And I'm like, oh, I'm so grateful. I'm able to pay for these groceries. And I'm so grateful that I can actually donate some of these to somebody that needs it. Or I could even pay for the person behind me if I want. I'm just so grateful putting that in, taking care of it, right? So that generous act is sending those same pleasurable, stimulated ventral stratum activation as it's the same as eating something you love. Like with my daughters, I'm like, oh, isn't that good? And we're like, yeah, so good, so good. I'm like, you can make those noises when you enjoy something. Why? Because that's a chemical reaction intensifying. Like, why wouldn't you want that to be more intensified? It's good for the body. It's good for the mind. It's good for the emotions. It's good for the spirit, right? So that's the brain activation. The chemical release. This activation leads to the release of neurotransmitters. We talk about what fires together, wires together. The more we're firing the dopamine, the oxytocin, the serotonin, which is contributed to feeling of happiness, safety, contentment, and social bonding. And all of those are critical as a human experience and also on the spiritual side as well. So positive social impact. This is where generosity can strengthen your social connections, build the trust within communities, which can lead to increased cooperation and support systems. So who are your support systems? Are they generous givers too? Can you lead by example? Can you give first? Can you share that? And share it in a way that there are many times I donate to charities, especially some publicly that, when it can say your name, and I just pick anonymous because sometimes it's this battle of I don't want my ego to play a part in that. Like, I don't want people to know, like, or think that I'm trying to be like, look at me, I donated this much to this charity today. Because it's not about that. It's more about supporting the community and knowing that I still get a feel good feeling of generously giving, right? So even if you're battling with that piece, like I used to, choose the anonymous button. Get the cash, put it in an envelope. It doesn't even need to have a check with your name on it. How cool is that? Stress reduction. Studies have shown that engaging in generous acts also help reduce stress. Stress. Managing stress and improve overall mood. Stress is important for growth. It's discomfort. But when you are in a chronic state of stress and you don't oscillate in recovery, it will cause dis-ease in the body, both mentally, emotionally, and manifest in the physical. So this could be a whole nother podcast conversation, which I will note that if people are interested. But just know that studies have shown that engaging in generous acts does reduce that, helps you better manage your stress. There's the psychological benefits. There's the generosity can boost your self-esteem, foster that sense of purpose, promote positive self-perception, feel good, confident, empowered. I can give this. And this can be anything. It can not just financial, it can also be your resources and other ways, your time, your energy, your genius. So yes, I'm sticking with the financial because I work with a lot of people who have money mindset challenges and have business money challenges. And it all goes back to money codes and sales codes, but also this works in other ways. You can be generous with your time. You can be generous with your resources. You can be generous with your wisdom. And how can you start to be intentional with that? So how generosity might be relating to your wealth, right? This is wealth also has this connotation with positive reputation. Being generous can build a positive reputation in a way that fosters that strong professional network. It can lead to new opportunities, career advancement, referrals, so many things, and a way that is good energy exchange. And it leaves ego out of it, which is the best part of it, right? And then there's that entrepreneurial part because I love so much. Most of my clients are entrepreneurs, right? So that entrepreneurial mindset is fostered and also groomed and fueled by this. The generous attitude can encourage an outlook of abundance and sharing. This is the part where people struggle. Like, I want more money to give. In order to have more money to give, I need to attract and bring in more money. Okay, well, which are you focusing? Are you focusing on the abundance? Are you focusing on the lack of the money or your time or your resources or your know-how, your power, your genius, right? So when you actually are in the state of abundance and sharing, which can be beneficial for the entrepreneurial endeavors, right? So here are some practical ways to align your spending and decisions with the mindset of generosity and intention first. Intentional, prioritizing the generosity part first. When you align your spending and decisions with the mindset of generosity and intention, you can identify your values. Number one, create a mindful spending plan based on those values, practice gratitude for what you have and what you're able to give, knowing more is always on the way, setting those intentional financial goals, again, intentional. Consider the impact of your purchase on others. Like, this is another practical way. Is like, do you really stop before you purchase, right? Regularly review your spending habits and allocate a portion of your income towards charitable giving first. Essentially, making conscious choices about where your money goes and ensuring it aligns with your professional, personal ethics and priorities. So this all starts with your personal values, and how we do anything is how we do everything, right? I've preached on this for a long, long time, and I will forever preach on this. And it is based in science. When they've done research on buckets of people, the most generous people continue to receive more, right? So, and when they receive more, guess what they do? They give more. And they also get to spend more. They get to celebrate the fact that they've earned more, attracted in more, and are able to still give more and do more. Like, it's the abundance side of thing that's perpetual. So, for example, I had a client say that, again, this is actually the second client. Their giving efforts just were feeling good, but they were kind of mundane and they felt like it was expected. And they didn't have this like gratefulness in the giving side. It was just like, I'm doing this thing, I'm writing this check. So we paused and I said, okay, so what's different and why? And when you think about it, drop into your heart space. What do you know that's true about it? Where would you like to shift this? Where would you like to reset? And if that wasn't true any longer, because it's just a limiting belief, what would be true? How would you approach it? And how would you like to feel? And why would it look and feel that way? And what are you doing different? How are you being? And what is the intention and the space of the feeling that you want to start with first? So that right there, out of everything I said today, is a really strong practice when things are feeling like a little icky or stuck or mundane, like now it's expected. And I talked about this in November with boundaries, like when people have expectations and it doesn't feel good anymore, how you're showing up, how you're giving your time, your money, your resources, then check yourself. Do the journal prompts and the power of the reset. They're the power prompts every single month that will indefinitely keep you on track with your intentions and your goals and allow you to experience them and actualize them much sooner than later. All right, so here's some practical application. We're going to first clarify your values. Clarify your values. Take time to reflect on what truly matters to you, whether it's environmental, sustainability, supporting local businesses, giving back to your community, or your own personal growth. There's a local charity that I have a very strong passion with called Conscious Nona. And I've given a lot of time, I've given resources, and I've given money too. I'm about ready to give even more money to, because I believe in this mission that they are on about creating conscious communities. So Conscious Nona is going to be the first conscious community, and then we're going to be able to plug and play this into multiple communities around the globe, which is so cool to think about. The more intentional, the more consciously aware, and people awakening to the fact that, like, hey, we don't have to define success and divine health by the old paradigms. Like, even like if you think about our culture in the medical field, and I'm not poo-pooing doctors by any means. I know a lot of great doctors. I'm not poo-pooing pharmaceuticals by any means. There's a lot of great meds out there, thankfully, that help with certain ailments, challenges, dis-ease in the body. But at the end of the day, we are in a practice of sick care, not well care. And if you don't agree with me, you're sleeping under a rock. And I have a strong stance on that. So, and I know Conscious Nona incorporates a lot of other experts in our area to incorporate healing, energy healing, sound bowl healing, nervous system regulation, hypnosis healing, trauma response. There's so much there that I want everybody to have access to, because it all is required to rise up, to radically, intentionally self-expand and unleash your unlimited potential. So I'm going to get off my soapbox on that. But For any of my clients who experience the in-person VIP days here in Orlando with me, get to work with these other experts as well. So it's a full day of a bunch of things. So if you're more interested in that, just ping me. I'll send over the link. It's also my link in my bio. It's an amazing VIP day. I've even had people say, this is something I want to do twice a year as my non-negotiable to re-regulate, reground, and get back and feeling safe in my body and going that next step further to really unlocking that next level potential, which is so cool. We do a lot of activation, integration, and embodiment can start to happen because we created the time for the intervention of the integration, not only while you're here, but when you go home, right? There's so much I want to say here just really quickly about the corporate health and wellness world, which is where I first came from. And I take the analogy of like the dirty fish in the dirty fish tank. You take them out of the dirty fish tank, you clean them up, and then a 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 1 week retreat. And then you put them back in the dirty fish tank. And we never really give them the tools to clean up their fish tank, right? So again, how you do anything is how you do everything. And this is part of why these VIP days are immersion days, and they're very, very impactful. So didn't mean to get on a sidetrack there. That was not my topic to talk today, but obviously it was meant to be heard. So practical applications of clarifying your values. Create that mindful spending plan. Instead of a strict budget, develop spending plan that reflects your values and goals. You should have a spending plan inside of your giving plan, meaning once you decide what you're giving, how much are you actually going to have fun with and spend? This is what our family does. And this is where for a while it was a little not awkward, but it was like, yeah, we don't spend this money this month. We're in trouble. And if we're not going to spend it, can we then just add it to the charity? If we were like, wow, we've been blessed. We've done a lot of cool things this month. I really don't want to spend that extra $500 just on crap or things. Let's just throw that to the charity bucket and just do an extra $500 in the charity bucket this month. How cool is that, right? Practicing that gratitude. Actively appreciate what you already have, which helps you resist the impulse of those impulsive shiny objects and buying just on a whim. I mean, hello, if you're on social media ever, you're getting pinged with all the things that you know you want because their phone is listening to you talking about the things you want and desire, right? And then we set intentions with our financial goals, right? We do not set goals without intentions. And if you heard my whole goal setting talk in my podcast, it's really about intention setting, right? And commitment and learning how to master your decision making, which is what you do in the whole Rise Up program, right? You make decisions from your vision, you live from your vision, and that is it. And then you must consider the impact of your purchases. Like before making a purchase, think about its social and environmental impact. Choose what options, again, that align to your values. You'll know if it's a quick yes, and if it's not a quick yes, it's a no. No need to justify, no need to explain. And how cool is it that you start to make decisions like this because they're aligned to your vision and you're generously giving and generously receiving, right? Regularly review your spending. This is periodically, obviously, look at your spending habits and define the areas that you want to adjust, reallocate, reset, better reflect on those priorities because priorities may shift in different seasons of your life, which I know they have drastically ever since I had kids. And now it's a whole nother thing. Like, I'm like, money's going out to karate, money's going out to horseback riding, money's going out to now play isn't all the great things. And I'm grateful that my children get to experience these. And these are things that are growing and expanding them. It's an investment, not just to spend, but are we grateful to have the opportunity to be able to do that? I'm going to always go back to allocating for giving. Giving. This is a mindful practice. This is a portion that we say again, specifically for a charity, a cause, a local initiative, a global initiative, and really being intentional with that first. So I really hope these practical ideas and activations give you something to take with this as you go into the holiday season, so you can be even more intentional in what you decide to spend, invest, or give. And that you really consider the fact that there's evidence-based science and research to show that how gratitude and giving not only enrich your life and create that ripple effect of abundance for others, but also allows you to anchor into your own values and lead in a way of everyday life to decide from and live from while embracing those limitless possibilities and potentials, not only to end this year strong, but into the year ahead. With that, I'm going to leave you with so much love. Bye for now.